Hi, my name is Sheila McKay with the Manor Musers, and I wanted to share with you another quick and easy Christmas gift or something you can make for someone anytime during the year when you just want to spoil them. This one is called our Suede Bottom Sleeper Slippers. So they're designed to be slippers that you wear in the house, and they have a suede bottom, a cuddle top, and some kind of fun trim around your ankle. There's only two pieces in this pattern, so it makes it really easy to put together. There's a top, which looks like this. So it comes in four sizes: a small, a medium, a large, and an extra large. And bottom line, it just gets longer as your foot gets longer. And the sole has four sizes: a small, a medium, a large, and an extra large. And to figure out which size you need, all you need to do is put your foot on the pattern and just say, hey, make sure your heel and your toe fit inside the dotted sewing line, and that would be the one that you want to do. The first step you're going to do is to cut out these pattern pieces. It's a lot easier to have the pattern pieces cut out first. And as you're cutting out the top here, what you'll want to do is cut all the way down here to the extra large line. And then if you really are a small or a medium, just fold this piece back as you're cutting it out so that you can use the pattern later in case you want to make it for someone who has a bigger foot than you do. So the next thing you're going to do is cut out the pieces. So the bottom of the slipper, I'll actually show you what the finished product looks like. So it looks like this, the one that we're making. It's got a suede bottom, it has a cuddle top, and it has this fun trim around your ankle. And you can turn it inside out and you can see the seams that we sewed, and I'll be talking about how to put those together as we speak. So you're going to need two of these little sole pieces. And it's easiest if you lay them down just one at a time. So put one piece of paper down and cut it around it. Put the other piece of paper down and cut around it as well. Don't try to cut them both out at the same time because this bonded cuddle suede is just too thick. It would be too hard to use your scissors to cut through two of them. And you want to make sure that this line is just really, really smooth as you're cutting it out. So you're going to need two soles. And then you're going to need two top pieces. And on the top pieces, one of the things you want to be aware of when you're cutting out your top pieces is the nap. So this one doesn't have much of a nap, but I can feel that it's going this way. So if you want the nap to run down your slipper, make sure you put the pattern pieces on so it runs down your slipper. The other thing, some of the fabrics do have like a design on it. Like I have some that have a snowflake on it or a little animal on it. What you would want to do is make sure that you place this pattern piece so that it will take advantage of wherever that design was, so that you can put it maybe in the center of your foot. But you're going to want to cut out two of the top pieces. So you're going to have two soles and two top pieces, and then you're going to need 3 inches of some kind of a fun trim. And you probably need about a yard, but it just depends. You probably won't need that much if you have tiny feet. And you're going to end up cutting it in half so that you'll have 2 pieces of trim that will go around the top. So once you have your pieces cut out, I'll pull over the next sample. You're going to have this little top piece and you're going to have your trim piece. And so what I did was I laid right sides together so that the trim is going to go all the way around my ankle. So it's going to go here and around and up to here, if you can see that. And again, I put a lot of pins in, and you'll want to use pins that have big colorful heads so that you'll be able to see them and pull them out as you're sewing. And I've had it before where when I used a regular pin, I accidentally left one of them in, my sewing machine went over it, so be really careful. Once you have it all pinned on, you're going to want to do a 1/4 inch seam all the way around the top to attach the trim to the ankle. So once you've sewn that piece, you're going to open it up this way and this way, and you're going to sew this seam along your heel. So you're going to have a 1/4 inch seam that's going to run from here up to here, and it's going to hook the trim together up to there. The next thing you're going to do is fold this trim into the inside. So there's actually two different ways you can do it, and I did it one way, and then I thought, you know what, it's a whole lot easier to do it a different way. So my it's a little bit different than in my directions, because you'll see that I have this sewn around here, and I have this seam sewn here, and then before I attach this onto the bottom, I'm going to show you the next step, which is to take the tall fur that you have here, and you're going to roll it to the inside of the slipper. And you're going to reach inside. Well, in fact, sometimes it's easier if you turn the whole thing inside out. And what you're going to do is have this top come over. You're going to take this top, you're going to push your seam up, and you're going to fold this down over it, and you're going to just start pinning it right here so that it will stay in place. So you're going to make sure your seam is going up, and this one's going down, and you're going to pin it in place. And this is called shaggy fur. I love it, but it's very difficult to sew with sometimes. You're actually going to sew it from the right side of the slipper. So what you're going to do is try to push all of the fur back, and you're going to stitch right in the ditch all the way around the ankle, and you're going to go through the top layer and through the fur. So you want to make sure that you're catching the fur on the back, but that you're just stitching right along this edge and keeping all this fur out, so then you have the top attached to the ankle, what goes around the ankle. And then the last step would actually be to attach the top to the sole. And here, you're going to want to make sure you have right sides together. So right sides together on this one is the right side of the cuddle and the suede part of the fleece. I again used tons of pins to hook it together. Make sure that this seam is right exactly in the middle of the back of your foot. And there was a little dot on your pattern here at the toe. Make sure that is right here in the center of your foot. Then you're going to do a seam all the way around the outside edge, again 1/4 of an inch. Make sure you put a little bit extra fabric in here so that it will have the extra ease fabric in your heel and in your toe. So you'll sew that all around, and then you'll have that done, and you will end up with a little slipper that looks like this. So I'm making a bunch of slippers for me and for my grandkids for Christmas. So I even made a little tiny pair for my littlest granddaughter. Her name is Coco, and she's asleep, or she would be here in the video with me. And instead of rolling these down and sewing them around this little tiny thing that goes around her foot, I decided to leave them tall and make them look a little bit like Uggs so that she can wear them like this. So Merry Christmas. There are two different versions of the pattern out there. There's a sleeper slipper where you make two of them and you have a lined slipper. And there's also a pattern for just a plain suede slipper. So you can see here, this is the children's pattern. So the children's pattern, there's 5 sizes that are directly the sizes right below the adult sizes. So between the two patterns, you would have all the sizes for basically any size foot. With the suede ones, just to give you a quick tutorial, if you just want to do the plain suede slippers, all you need is 2 tops and 2 bottoms. And this time you only have to do the 1 seam in the back, and then you put these 2 together and you do the seam around the outside edge. And you can choose to leave the seam on the outside, or you can choose to do the seam on the inside. So if you see this one, I left the seam on the outside. Really simple, just the seam in the back, the seam around the foot, and I put a little bow on it. When I was cutting this part out right here, I realized, that looks just like an ear. So I took those ears, and you can see I made little puppy ears. You can see I made little bunny ears. I used some leftover fabric to make a little bunny face and put some little eyes and nose on it. So you can get really creative. This one, if you look down here, you can see that the seam is on the inside of the foot. This one, the seam is on the outside of the foot. So you get to choose, you get to be creative, but maybe you can make some fun slippers.
Because the outside is weird inside.
Oh Yeah, thanks, Kira. That's my daughter again, reminding me to tell you one more thing. So the other thing you can choose to do is put the fuzzy stuff on the outside, like I did on the little puppy, and the suede is on the inside, but on the bottom, I still have the soft against their foot and this against the floor. So one thing to be aware of, suede is, you know, not super slippery, but when my daughter wrote the pattern, she did remind me that these can be a pair of, yes, hallway skis. So they are slippery, be careful. They were designed to be worn inside, hopefully on carpet. But if you're on, you know, cool wooden floors or tile floors, do remember they're slippery and be careful. And happy sewing.